Because you'll find inevitably, if the two got married to each other when they both weren't religious, love marriage, yes. I love you, you love me, and you exchange love and pleasantries. There's not much concern for the theological and the legal differences. What happens when one of them becomes religious? What happens to the other one? Okay, and depends who's become religious. Because one of them, for example, the two of them were in love in college, none of them knew anything about the beliefs. Yes. All they knew is dad and mom say, listen, Muharram, you got to wear black. And dad and mom say in Ramadan, you have to pray Taraweeh. I didn't know anything about the rest of the beliefs. One of them listened to a lecturer who made them click. Now what happens? The same person I'm married to, how do I deal with them now? Because in the past, that person, me and them, did not discuss this issue. We didn't bring it up. We were discussing where we go for Valentine's Day. We were discussing where we would go on a romantic holiday. We discussed where we're going on our honeymoon. Now I've got to discuss what exactly took place at Karbala, how I express my grief for Karbala, how do I bring up the children now, on whose version? Because there's a new thing called the sushi, yes? Sushi children, yes? Sushi children means what? Means that Sunni and Shia, they're mixed, so they call them sushi. So one of the kids, for example, is a shrimp roll, another one is tuna. And obviously this is the implication that sushi would give. That, it's different types of rolls and, maki and whatever else is the soya sauce between them, only God knows. But you find that people say that this is now sushi children. That these kids between a Sunni Shia marriage, they are sushi children. Now, where do the kids go in this situation? The dad, for example, it's clicked in his head, let's say, he's a follower of the Sunni theology. It's clicked in his head that these Shia have the following opinions. What does he do with the kids now? The mom, for example, it's clicked in her head that, you know what, for years I didn't go to majalis. Now it's clicked in my head that I am with someone who reveres someone who is responsible for the very shahada of the person I'm honoring tonight. It's a clash. Now what happens to the kids? The most emails I receive in Muharram are on this area, more than any other area. There's so many areas. People send me emails, for example, on Aza and Azadari and the different practices. Nothing comes near Sunni Shia marriage. Why? Because you've obviously got a member of the Shia community who now is being told that my kids will not go anywhere near his majlis. Yes. But 10 years ago when you married me, you said I can practice as I want. What's changed? Well, my imam, but you never used to have an imam. You used to go Friday prayers, you didn't care. Only recently you've had an imam and the beard may have got a bit longer than it was when we first got married and Gillette Mac Excel was making money. At the beginning now, you had nothing. Now, for example, it's getting bigger. And you find that this becomes very, very sensitive. What do you do? Now, legally, what do we do? Because you have to study the books of fiqh on this area. And it's vital that we open these books, because you could come and tell me there's no problem Sunni Shia marriages, but what do our great ulama say on both sides, the Sunni and the Shia ulama? Say, for example, if we take an alim like Ibn Abidin. Ibn Abidin is the famous Syrian Hanafi jurist. He has the book Radd al-Muhtar ala Durr al-Mukhtar. It's the most authoritative, one may argue, text in Hanafi jurisprudence. Central Mosque in Leicester, they have a website, Central Mosque. They have a Dar al-Ifta committee. There are 4 questions that are posed to the ulama in that mosque. Can a Sunni marry a Shia? And the answers that they give are from Ibn Abidin, the Syrian jurist, 19th century Syrian jurist. Ibn Abidin, by the way, is not someone who is Wahhabi or Khariji. He actually is anti-Wahhabi. But his book is a famous book and something that we have to use, because you can't discuss these things without referring to the main literature. I don't want a Sunni Shia marriage to take place between 2 people who are in love in Wonderland. No, you need to know what your theology believes. Likewise with us. Let's say we have Maraja alive or who passed away. Let's say Ayatollah Bahjat, for example. May Allah bless his soul. Let's say Ayatollah Fadl Lankarani, Ayatollah Nasr Makarim Shirazi, may Allah lengthen his life. They all are our fuqaha said Sadiq al-Rawhani, Ayatollah Rawhani, all of them, when they were alive, they had a famous class. You know, the highest class in Hawza is known as Kharij al-Fiqh or Bahth al-Kharij. That class is when you sit with the marja' and the marja' gives his opinions. Their lessons are all available on this issue. They divide the issue in an interesting way. A Sunni male marrying a Shia female. What's the ruling? A Sunni female and Shia male. Yes? So look at the difference. Your daughter comes home to you one day, says, Dad, there is a Muslim, which is important for it to be said, because at the end they're all Muslim. A Muslim wants to marry me at college. He's Sunni, maybe Hanafi in his fiqh, Ash'ari in his theology. Let's say, for example. Because you know, Ahl Sunnah in fiqh and theology is two completely different worlds. You could have a random Iranian giving you fiqh, and a random Arab giving you theology. Just random centuries all coming together. You say that, Dad, I have a Sunni friend of mine, good akhlaq, so on, wants to propose for me. What's the ruling in fiqh if the girl is Shia and she wants to marry a Sunni male? What's the ruling in fiqh? If you now hear, those of you who are right in front of me, you come to me and say there is a Sunni girl at uni, lovely girl, brilliant heart, great akhlaq. What's the ruling if you want to marry her? Is there a difference in fiqh when it comes to the girl being Shia marrying a Sunni male, or the girl being Sunni and the Shia male wants to marry her? These are all fundamental discussions which I'd like to analyze tonight, because I'd like to get the